My fellow Earthlings, good morning to all of you. It has been a pleasure for me to be here speaking in front of you about a topic that is alarming as time goes by, yet still not in the field of our concern. Well, maybe because it is a new age, and as a matter of fact, what is new is what matters the most. But before I begin, I wanted to ask you some questions. How is the environment around you? Is it good, bad, or you do not know anything because you do not care? Earth, being called a green planet, has been suffering the alarming condition of biodiversity loss, which in fact is caused by the undying virus known as humans. And yes, when I said humans, I mean we. And so, we contribute the most environmental distractions that threaten and endanger Earth's biological diversity. The planet has been facing the hanging issue of biodiversity loss since the age of modern technology has been born. It is a buzzing word since globalization begins to dominate the world, timely relevant, it can be experienced by every individual. Biodiversity loss is a global phenomenon where the ecosystem level of the planet has been maneuvered and decreased dramatically. Discussing being maneuvered, we are responsible for these actions. Many believe that we are the hope of the future Earth, but unfortunately, we also become the slayer of the vast picturesque of nature. As what being stated earlier, we are always present, having no absence at all in terms of environmental distractions. Thus, biological extinction, a major consequence of human activity, has taken its toll on biodiversity. In conformity with certain studies, the Asia and Near East region is the most biodiverse area on the planet, with approximately 80% of endangered species that can be found in the substantial landscape of the region. But now, facing the rapid percentage of loss and extinction of several species of fauna and flora, together with the deterioration of species habitats, resulted in faster extinction of animals before they were able to identify, and dying of plant species before they were being tested for possible cures in certain diseases. In addition, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, an organization that protects and defends the welfare of nature, evaluates their findings on their test on extinction rates of every species on Earth, reportedly stated that the reason for the rapid loss of species was because of the thoughtless activities of humans, specifically the three major factors: the destruction of habitat, pollution waste, and illegal poaching. And so, being in a continuous flow of change, Earth itself had witnessed various anthropogenic phenomena. Throughout its history, it suffered numerous man-made devastation that deformed its original state drastically. The biodiversity, indeed, was on the verge of losing its significance completely. However, to sustain and preserve its beauty again, we should avoid habitat destruction, lessen pollution, and eliminate poaching that offered solutions to the case of biodiversity loss. Since globalization began to dominate the world, we were bustling around running for our comforts. Infrastructures were raised to employ us. Roads were being built to offer a wide array of trips, and subdivision houses were constructed to give safety for all. To sustain all of this, we need to clear thousands of trees to expand residential areas to build all our necessities. which in return affect the species of animals and plants in their habitats. Accounting from these scenarios, certain species may not be able to survive because of the modification made in their habitats. The destruction of their habitats can affect their reproduction, comfort, and even food. In this case, the ecosystem would be disrupted and its inhabitants would be susceptible to extinction. Another point to consider, the rising level of pollution was amid continuous modernization. As we started to engage in globalization, several modern technologies had contributed to a high concentration of pollution on water, land, and or air. Its addition of toxic substances in the biosphere endangered certain species through contamination and poisoning. Scientists concerning coal-burning power plants of several industries argued its relation to acid rain formation and ozone layer depletion. The emission of greenhouse gases by several factories and vehicles in the atmosphere produced acid rain that destroyed forests and contaminated water, killing numerous aquatic species. Also, the emission of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere trapped ultraviolet radiation that contributed to the rising global temperature. If so happens, this phenomena can easily wipe out the population of species. On the other hand, we also had engaged ourselves in an illegal activity known as poaching. Poaching is the illegal capturing of animals and snatching of plants for commercial purposes. It could be for their valuable parts to be sold in the open trade market for the manufacturing of several medicines, garments, and or jewelry. In return, thousands of species of animals and plants would decrease in number and extinction would happen. With the insights given, pressures on biological diversity would increase globally in the coming years unless we change our attitudes and actions. Change is needed at numerous levels, but it seems that a profound paradigm shift is ultimately required. Many are wondering what we can do and anything to offer despite these insignificant and enormous problems. However, we must always remember that no one person can solve these issues alone. Everyone is responsible. Together with strength and commitment, everybody will have the power to generate enough energy to change and transform biodiversity. Furthermore, as legislations and laws are being presented and implemented, it is for us to obey their orders. Significantly, we must know how to use biodiversity resources well. The eagerness of learning its worth is the best way to change every individual's behavior towards caring biodiversity, so that, in the end, biodiversity could be preserved and conserved for future generations. Therefore, biodiversity allows natural systems to function, since every player has a particular role in the ecosystem. When one species becomes extinct and cannot fulfill its role, and no other species can suit to fulfill that role, the function of the entire ecosystem is compromised. Then, in the end, biodiversity will last forever. The time is now, and not sooner nor later. Humans should wake up. We should wake up. Everyone should step up and give their fullest power and potential to protect and defend the welfare of biodiversity. This is what it meant by integrating these aspects of life to become a whole functioning, empowered human beings who are not afraid of making a difference. It's the hope of the now. And this is who we are. That is all for today. Thank you for lending your time as well as your ears. I hope you have learned something from my speech. The seed has been planted, and it is our turn to cultivate it. Let us work together for that seed to grow again. And about my questions earlier, I hope your environment is good. And please have care. Again, good morning, Earthlings.